Okay, I'm Prof. Ronnie Lessem. I'm a co-founder with my partner, Prof. Alexander of Transform, and we're partners in turn with Da Vinci Institute in South Africa. And we came to Nigeria this time for three reasons. The one is to reconnect with a country that's very dear to us. The second is to conduct a viva, not just for Father, now Dr. Anselm Adodo, but for the whole Iwa community. And the third is to travel to Ibadan to develop with Father Adodo a new institute, an African Center for Integral Research and Development, together with the Ibadan University.
So, you talked about Father Anselm Adodo. He did a dissertation yesterday, which you supervised. How long has it taken for him to have done this dissertation, this doctorate?
Well, with Father Anselm, it's a bit unusual because Pax Herbals started so many years ago. So you could say that his dissertation started 25 years ago. But in a formal sense, he started 3 years ago on our program, although I knew Father Anselm 12 years before then. But we hadn't until then got the right kind of PhD program for him, which happily came along.
So how do you see his dissertation? Is there anything new to bring out of it?
Oh, there's a lot that's profoundly new. I think in the first sense, he's one of the very few people to give birth to a new concept, a new idea, a new philosophy, the philosophy of communalism. Secondly, amongst other people, but probably even more significantly, there have been profound transformations on the ground, as well as the development of new theory. And thirdly, right from the beginning of his thesis, he's intermingled traditional wisdom and contemporary ideas in a very significant way.
So I haven't done this for, with Father Anselm. Is he the first student that you have handled from Nigeria on such a course?
No, Dr. Bashir Shordi, who was at his viva, was our first student from Nigeria. And then we got a whole group of people from Lagos, mainly bankers. He's the first student coming from, if you like, rural Nigeria. So in a sense, yes, if you take Iwo and rural Nigeria, but Nigeria at large, we've been working here for several years before we started with Anselm.
Now that you've had this dissertation, you've given him his citation and you have decorated him, where would his idea migrate to now?
Yes, well, the first thing is that we've decorated his community as well as himself. This is very important for us. A PhD for us is not an individual pursuit, it's a collective one. Secondly, in our minds, we very much carry the notion, although we don't conventionally call it that, of a postdoctoral program. We don't have a formal postdoctoral program, but for us, people engage with us and we engage with them for life, right? Because they're dealing with such big, such important transformations that it will take a lifetime. So our journey to Ibadan is the start of the next evolution to begin to institutionalize in a university what he's been working on. When we go from there back to Lagos, we'll be talking to our bankers over there and talking about how they continue to develop together his institution in Siza in Nigeria. And then when we go on to Zimbabwe next month, we then talk to our Zimbabweans about their own developments and how that connects with what's happening in Nigeria. And then we go on to South Africa, the same kind of ideas. So ultimately we're talking of a development pan-Africa, and Father Dr. Adodo has a seminal contribution to make to that.
When Dr. Adodo was when he was still Father Adodo without a doctor yesterday, during the dissertation, you opened your speech by talking about Nelson Mandela. Can you tell us about that again, please?
Yeah, well, for us, that's hugely unfinished business. Remember that much of our seminal work was done in South Africa, although I come from Zimbabwe, that really South Africa was the country where in my adult years, I spent a lot of my time, and we developed a South African management project in that country for 5 years. At the same time, this was before Nelson Mandela came to power, and Nelson Mandela, like everywhere in the world respect him as probably this century's or last century's greatest statesman. And of course, in the immediate sense, he did a great service to his country by bringing about reconciliation. But two things were missing. One is there's never been economic reconciliation. And secondly, to our mind, his legacy in South Africa is currently wavering. So in a sense, being the other major country in Africa, we see Nigeria actually taking his legacy on, not to mention South Africa might reconnect with it in time. But secondly, the whole mission of healing in this particular context in Pax Herbals is very close to his mission of reconciliation. So we're bringing those two forces together.
Thank you, Prof. We look forward to see you again in Nigeria.
Our pleasure.